Wow. Chase is coming in hot with their brand new refresh on their most expensive premium travel credit card, the Chase Sapphire Reserve. They jumped the annual fee from $550 per year to $795 per year. Yes, it comes with some more perks and credits, which we're going to dive into, but it's got everyone talking about it in the credit card space because this is a huge change to the overall credit card. What we're going to do first is break down all the changes to the Chase Sapphire Reserve just so we get a level set on the new update to it. And then I'm going to dive into what I think about the overall change, who it helps, who it hurts, and how it impacts you. So let's get right into it. So heading over to the new Chase Sapphire Reserve website, we can see that they announced that the new card is coming on June 23rd, 2025. We're going to scroll down and you can see the newly updated features on the credit card. So a couple of different things here that we're going to walk through one by one. The new category of 8 times points on Chase travel for flights, hotels, rental cars, cruises, activities, and tours. This one is only good for when you book travel through the Chase portal. And this is a slight adjustment where they're trying to increase and incentivize travel through the portal. So the travel on flights used to be at 5x back, and hotels used to be at 10x back. So slight increase and decrease on that front. The new feature that people are actually a little bit more excited about, I think, are 4 times points when you book directly with the airlines or hotels. Previously, the Chase Sapphire Preferred had a catch-all travel bucket of 3 times points back on just a broad category of all travel. So that could be Ubers, tolls, parking, etc. And so they've gone away with that, which we'll dive into a little bit later on my take on that. But they're trying to somewhat compensate, I think, by removing that, by having the 4x points here, but I think that losing the 3x points on that broad travel category is something that isn't super great and is actually a big decrease to the overall value of the card. A brand new credit that they're adding to this overall Chase Sapphire Reserve is now $500 in annual bookings with the Edit, which is their hand-picked collection of hotels and resorts, which kind of mimics the overall Amex travel portal that they give you a credit for with the Platinum, to book luxurious type hotel experiences through their partners. This comes in a $250 credit on the first half of the year and $250 on the second half of the year. And there's an in-depth section on the Edit that we're going to get to a little bit lower on the screen. But lastly, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has kept the $300 annual credit towards travel purchase, which is a really big win because this $300 covers anything. And it's really simple and easy to use, and you don't have to use it in portions. You just get it when your card renews and you're able to use it immediately. So a really, really good feature that they did keep in place because it was a really big perk. Okay, scrolling down here, a new feature is called Points Boost. And so previously, the Chase Sapphire Reserve allowed you to redeem your points in the travel portal for 1.5 cents per point on your bookings, which was actually really good value and allowed you a lot of flexibility when you were booking domestic airlines and even some hotels. Now they've gotten rid of that. Now they're introducing this points boost, which gives you 2 cents per point on various hotels and resorts, as well as premium cabin airfare. This, I think, is a step back because what they're targeting is more expensive redemptions on hotels and resorts, as well as premium cabin airfare. As you can see, business class. You can see here, expensive Santa Monica Beach of the Edit redemptions. Yes, you're getting another half cent per point in value, but these are on really, really expensive redemptions, and it kind of takes out that big win on those redemptions that were, say, a $300 flight domestically, where you could get 1.5 cents per point, and that would be really good bang for your buck. I don't know if these 2 cent per point value in redemptions are really going to cut it, because typically when you're looking at premium cabin redemptions on business class and first class flights, you're getting outsized value of much more value than 2 cents per point. So I think this is kind of a little bit of a disappointment, but we'll see how it really comes out. And they just give a little bit more info if you want to pause, but you're able to search for hotels, review the travel options, and then ultimately book your trip to see how the points are maximized, whether it's 1 cent per point or 2 cent per point. It's not guaranteed at 2 cent per point. They kind of, from what I understand so far, and we'll learn more as it comes out, but you kind of find out when you actually go to book it versus just on the front page. But we'll see how that unfolds. But one thing they are keeping, obviously, is their Chase Sapphire Reserve Lounge Network, which is a really, really powerful lounge. They're really trying to compete with Amex here. And the handful of lounges that they do have open are absolutely top notch. And I've had some friends who have taken advantage of the one in the Philadelphia airport, and they've been able to take advantage of this lounge, and they say it's awesome. One really interesting thing, especially with the new news on the Capital One Venture X getting rid of additional guests and free authorized users coming into lounges, they are still keeping that you can bring up to 2 guests to the Chase Sapphire Reserve lounges, as well as to Priority Pass. So that's a really big win that they're keeping that feature in the midst of a lot of cutbacks with other lounge access. So here's a little bit more info on how the edit works. You're able to get a $500 credit for stays with the edit, and it's really important to note here in the fine print that you get $250 in statement credits for the first half of the year as well as the second half of the year. You don't get to use the whole $500 on one redemption, and you need to have a 2-night minimum on these hotel stays. They're a little bit more pricey for the most part. So I don't know if everyone will be able to redeem both of these credits for the year. So you might want to discount it when it comes into your effective annual fee. Speaking for myself, I try to stay a lot more in properties like Hyatt or Hilton or Marriott, which are a lot more budget friendly and really easy to use with points. However, it is a pretty cool thing because you do get a $100 property credit, daily breakfast for two, potential room upgrades. And so I think there can be situations where these hotels make a lot of sense. And as we can see here in some of the featured hotels, they do look pretty cool, I have to say. However, that's where I'm saying it's, maybe you'll use one of them for 2 nights. And then maybe if you're going to Rome, maybe you'll go 2 nights here and then you'll redeem some other Chase points for Hyatt and really get some good value there. But could be interesting. Then they kind of note that you have reserve travel designers, which are kind of like travel agents in a way. And they say it's worth $300 per trip, and they help you with wildlife encounters, private charters, and city adventures, and helping you book these experiences. We'll see how that plays out. I kind of like booking my own trips. Maybe if I'm going to somewhere really exotic, this might be helpful, especially on some wildlife encounters. I don't know. We'll see. But interesting that they assign and try to put a dollar value on this to amplify how that $795 annual fee is really, you're getting a lot of value here, they say. So how it works is you speak with a travel designer, kind of like a travel agent, I guess, co-create your ideal itinerary, and then you get support every step of the way. One other specific thing is that you're getting premium hotel reward status. It's important to note that the Platinum Elite status is not IHG's highest level and highest tier of membership or reward status, but it is something that is cool because unless you have IHG cards or you stay in IHGs a lot, you might not already have this. So pretty cool that at least gets something here. And the next section is really important to note that the Chase Sapphire Reserve is maintaining their very powerful trip protection insurance. And so I'll kind of click through them here, but overall, these are very, very powerful things in the event that anything happens on your trip. So trip cancellation and interruption insurance, which you can kind of read here, emergency evacuation and transportation, roadside assistance, auto rental coverage, which you just decline the insurance coverage at the rental car place, and then you get it covered, trip delay reimbursement, baggage delay insurance, and then, of course, it's mostly accepted worldwide, no foreign transaction fees. And also, you're still maintaining the $120 access and credit to TSA PreCheck or Nexus fee credit. And that redeems every 4 years. So really, really good that they are keeping this at least, but more changes to come as we scroll down. Another feature that I do think is pretty neat that they've added is a $300 annual credit on dining. And they are maintaining the 3 times points back on food purchases, whether restaurants and eligible delivery services. So this $300 credit annually is in statement credits when you dine with Sapphire Reserve exclusive tables. And how it works, similar to the edit credit, where you get $150 on this case for the first half of the year and then $150 for the second half of the year. While it is very coupony, is still better than a once a month type credit. I think a lot of people will be going out to dinner at least a handful of times a year. Being able to redeem and actually use this dining credit, I think is actually very doable. And so it notes that these are coveted tables and exclusive tables and some of the most coveted dining experience at hardest to book restaurants in major cities. And there are spots that are held exclusively for card holders. And so if we take a look here, they call out a couple of restaurants here in major cities, which I have not been to any of them yet, but moving to Chicago shortly. And so we'll be interested in trying this out if, I decide to get the reserve soon. So the next section, they talk about experiences, elevated experiences, unforgettable venues. And so if we click on this link, then we can see what some of those experiences that they actually call out are that you're able to book. There maybe are some exclusive tickets, specific events, EatsCon LA. That's kind of cool. And then a bunch of different city guides and top venues where you're able to get exclusive access and maybe hard to get tickets. So another little feature here. And their last bucket of credit type redemptions with the Chase Sapphire Reserve are in this next section. So $250 annually on Apple TV or Apple Music. I personally use Spotify, so I wouldn't take advantage of the Apple Music, but Apple TV, pretty good. Getting that for free is nice. And then you're getting $420 in value with DoorDash, $300 annually in monthly DoorDash promos. So $25 each month on DoorDash, $5 monthly promo to spend on restaurant orders, two $10 promos each to save on groceries, retail orders, and more. And then you're also getting the Dash Pass membership, which is $120 a year, $0 delivery fees, lower service fees. $120 per year on Lyft, as well as 5x back on Lyft rides. So this is coming in at $10 a month in monthly app credits. Peloton, $120 a year and 10x points on that. $120 in annual statement credits towards the membership, not broken up monthly. And then the last one is on StubHub, $300 in annual credits. $150 in the first half of the year, $150 on the second half of the year. My takeaway on these credits is that some of them are much easier to use than others. I personally don't use DoorDash and don't really get food delivered. I would discount what this is worth. But if you're someone who already pays for DoorDash and is someone that gets a lot of takeout, this might be a slam dunk. Same concept here on Apple TV and Apple Music. It's nice to have another streaming service for free. I don't know if I would necessarily value that at $250 annually because it's something I'm not already paying for. For Lyft and Uber, depending on where you're living, on if you take rideshare services, it could be something that's pretty easy to use and get value from. I find myself taking multiple rideshare app rides per month, so I would get benefit from here. I don't use Peloton. And StubHub, this one I would personally get value from because I do go to a lot of sporting events. I go to Eagles games, Phillies games. When I'm in town, I travel for those, go to local games out here in LA. And then I'm definitely going to be taking advantage of some sporting events when I move to Chicago. All that to say is, yes, you're getting a lot of value from these credits, but you really need to take a deep dive look on your budget to see if you're already spending money on these categories and if you're going to actually get value from them, or if you're paying extra money on this annual fee and you're getting these credits, but you're paying extra for them. So you got to dive in there. Next, we'll scroll down. They talk about next level retail, shop with Chase, account security, just classic credit card things, zero liability protection, fraud protection, and alerts. These are things with my other Chase cards, with my Chase Sapphire Preferred especially. They are really good at, if I get an unauthorized charge or some fraudulent thing, they do remove it pretty quickly, and it's super simple to take care of, unlike debit cards. And then lastly, the final section is you get an additional bucket of rewards when you spend $75,000 or more per year on this card. IHG One rewards Diamond Elite status, which is their highest status, a $500 Southwest Airlines credit, A-list status with Southwest, and $250 with Shop at Chase credit. That's a lot of money to spend per year, $75,000 on a single card, especially on the personal side, not even a business card. I don't really know how many people are going to really be taking advantage of these benefits. And I'm not sure if they're really something that any one of you watching these videos of mine are really going to take advantage of. But I do want to make sure I note them just to have completeness on this. But interesting that they have these. I'm not sure if they're going to be super valuable even for people who spend $75,000. I feel like Southwest is a little bit more of a budget airline at times, especially with their new changes for not having free checked bags. But depending on where you are in the country, if you're at a Southwest hub, then, might be cool. But you might already have that if you're spending $75,000 per year. We'll see. So overall, this credit card has become a lot more coupon book-like, similar to Amex, and it's definitely gearing a little bit more towards that same target customer that the Amex Platinum already has. So I feel like it's a very intentional target customer that Chase is targeting with this new refresh on the Chase Sapphire Reserve. And I think they're doing a good job from it. I think there are going to be a lot of people who are able to maximize these credits if they're very intentional about it, but it is a lot harder to use than, say, the Capital One Venture X annual credit with the $300 and the $100 in miles for travel. This takes a lot more effort and is coupon-y like Amex, which a lot of people are going to be split on. Some people intentionally stay away from Amex type cards because of that impact, because of that effort that it takes and the intentionality it takes to actually redeem these credits. If you're someone who's going to forget to use the credits and you're not going to be able to fit it into your day-to-day life, like we already talked about with that budget, this card may not be for you. However, I do think, like I noted, that there are going to be a lot of people who do get value from this and are able to overall optimize this annual fee. There are more credits here to be able to get excess value over that $795 per year than there were previously on that $550 annual fee where you were just getting that $300 travel credit. You were losing money effectively, $250, whereas now you actually have the opportunity to get more value than that $795 annual fee. I know it's controversial and I know people are going to be split. I'm also split on this because of my disdain for coupon type credit cards. However, I do think it is something I may consider in the future. Really will be interested to see how this card unfolds and what the intro offer and sign up bonus will be on this new refresh to really seize and capitalize on all this publicity and press and momentum that Chase is gathering from this card. I would wait and see until we get an offer and see what the new offer is after the 23rd, unless for some reason you really need to apply now. But I would wait for that to see what happens, and maybe we'll see an all-time high offer to really continue to build this buzz and traction around the Sapphire Reserve. All in all, some people are going to win because they're going to get additional value from this card, outsized value on that $795 annual fee. Some people are going to be really upset because it's more coupon book type, which seems to be the direction that premium travel credit cards are heading these days. We'll see what happens. We'll see how it unfolds. Let me know if you think that you're going to get this new credit card or if it's an automatic pass for you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment for more videos like this, and I'll see you all in the next video right here. Thanks so much.